Hello and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Planning Perspectives podcast. I'm one of your two hosts today, Jamie Hopkins, joined by my co-host, Kate Duffy. Kate, great to see you.
Thank you, Jamie. Good to be here.
And if you're hearing some noise today and seeing people around, we're super excited because we're doing a live recording out here with the Philadelphia Business Journal at their Healthcare Leadership Awards. And really, you're going to see a couple different winners and leaders out there in our greater region in the healthcare world today. So excited for these conversations. And we're joined right now by Mike Potter, who's the managing editor here at Philadelphia Business Journal.
So Mike, thanks so much for being with us for a few minutes. So the PBJ is known for hosting events like this, highlighting leaders in the area and doing these awards. Can you tell us why it's so important for the region that you're hosting these?
Absolutely. Yeah, we, as you said, we do many of these throughout the year, every year. It's just our role really is to pull out the people, the companies who are really shaping the economy here in Philadelphia and beyond. And this is an Eds and Meds town for a reason, right? This is one of the big holes we had in our annual schedule, let's say, and it's a big addition for us. We haven't had healthcare awards as part of our calendar, so to host this today and the lineup that we have, the folks that we're honoring from the health systems, from the life sciences world, cell and gene therapy pioneers, it's really crucial to make sure that those folks are getting the support, not just from their own organizations, but from the community at large to do the work that they do.
Well, thank you for highlighting this. I think all of our lives, anyone listening, has been touched by the improvement in healthcare out there in the world, the research, the medicine, the community care, and it is what makes Philadelphia and our region so vibrant is our great hospitals and care systems that we have here. I saw earlier, right, 275 years for, I think, Penn Medicine, and that's amazing because I know we're celebrating 250 years as a country, so you're like, that is pretty cool. So, Mike, thank you for having us here, hosting the event today and shining this light on everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you for your support for the program and for the industry and the Business Journal.
Absolutely. And so, everyone, we're going to be rolling through a handful of guests in today's show, so stay tuned for great leaders here being recognized at the Philadelphia Business Journal's Awards.
So we are speaking with Sarah Hexum, the Managing Director of Community Health Services of Public Health Management Corporation. Thank you for being with us, Sarah.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, congratulations, too, on the Community Champion Award. That's amazing. One of the things that I feel like healthcare leaders have to deal with constantly today, right? People, performance, right? Mission, and get all those things going. In that world, what do you think you're dealing with the most in today's environment?
I honestly think those three things line up really beautifully when you're in a community-based organization, when you're doing, nonprofit work, and I think that's really true throughout healthcare, but I feel pretty fortunate being able to work with folks who are already motivated to show up, right? They're already motivated to perform, and doing that well it's kind of its own reward. So, in a leadership role, right, your job is to take care of those people, make sure that they have what they need to be able to do the good work that they're doing. But I think it's, where the challenge is, where the balance is, it's just in the systems that support all of that. And because it's a fragile balance, if those systems shift at all, and I think you're feeling a lot of shifting, right, and a lot of uncertainty, I think that's where the focus is at this moment in time.
Yeah, well, thanks for the leadership there. And healthcare, as you said, is really a calling for many people, and it's really special.
And there have been a ton of advancements over the years, and that just keeps accelerating. So tell us, what do you think in the next 5 to 10 years will be the most important change or advancement in healthcare, and why?
So it's funny because I don't think this should be described as an advancement. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to already be doing it. But I think that we will continue to be realizing the impact of value-based care. So this idea of integrating health and social services, of understanding that, some of the highest cost issues to the healthcare system are in fact social needs. So we've been talking about it a lot. I think we've seen, innovations here and efforts to incentivize different types of models and, value-based purchasing, where it's more than it was a decade ago. I think in another 5 to 10 years, we would hopefully see that actually, no thank you. We would hope to see that actually.
That's the best, right?
Yeah,
You do a
yes.
live one,
I love
you
it.
get
I
offered
love it.
food. I love it.
Can you keep that in?
Yeah,
I
so
just
if
think it
anyone's
makes
wondering,
sense.
we have some food
If anyone was
offers. It's a great
questioning if it
event.
was
Yeah.
live or not, absolutely. But yeah, I can just like take the final sentence of that. Yeah, in another 5 to 10 years, I think we would hopefully be seeing that system actually in practice.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. A little bit of a curveball question to wrap us up here with you today, which is mentorship. It's something I think super important when you talk about community and building people up. Who was a mentor that came to your mind that really helped you and maybe helped you see the world a little differently?
Yeah, I think I've been really lucky when it comes to mentors. And so I had a lot of people I was thinking about, but I kept going back to Paula. So Paula Milone-Netzo, she, when I was working with her, was the Dean of Nursing at Penn State. She was the chair of what is now the Pennsylvania Nursing Workforce Coalition. And that was really my first role where I was an executive director and I was managing a board and I was working with a lot of folks that were intimidating. They were CEOs and nurse executives and deans of nursing schools and in government and industry. Just it was an incredible opportunity, but it was also a little intimidating. And I had just graduated, or I recently graduated from law school, and she really helped me understand that it's not about title, it's not about the vertical growth, but really understanding the different perspectives that we're all bringing to the room, and that it's not so much that I need to justify myself or that there's some dues that need to be paid, but rather to kind of foster these spaces where everyone is kind of free to bring their best. And so I feel like I've been able to implement that in my career, and just really value the ways in which different industries, different sectors, different types of experience can inform, solutions.
Yeah, I love that. It's a beautiful story, and that way to kind of pay it forward to the next generation from your leadership. But thank you for joining us today. Thank you for all your impact, and congratulations on the recognition.
All right, thank you so much. All right.
So excited to be joined by Donna Bailey, the CEO of Community Behavioral Health. And congratulations to, I think, a Co-Executive of the Year award.
So exciting. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. So Donna, healthcare leaders are constantly balancing mission, people, and performance. What do you find yourself spending the most time on right now?
It's a great question. I think for me at CBH, or Community Behavioral Health, we sit at the intersection of healthcare and government. So we're under contract to the city to manage the Medicaid program for behavioral health. And so it's this constant juggling of different stakeholders with different perspectives and different priorities. So really balancing that out, but staying grounded in our mission is kind of like a full-time job. But we're really trying to synthesize all of that and really kind of understand that at the end of the day, everybody has the same goal, which is making sure that Philadelphians have access to quality health care. But it can be stressful.
Yeah, leading and changing the world is stressful for sure. But thank you for your leadership, and it's so important to our communities, that people have access to health care and good new developments there. Now, as a leader, what's something that either a decision you made in your past or an event that has reshaped the way that you lead?
Yeah, so my story this is my second time around at CBH. So I was there for about 8.5 years as the COO, and our CEO retired, and I became interim. And I had a month or two before the whole world changed. And I found myself, like many other leaders, leading through COVID. And so I really think that decision to step into that role at that time has really shaped my leadership up till now. None of us had a playbook. We were all figuring it out as we were going along. And I think for me, I learned to trust my judgment a lot more. I was a little nervous about being CEO. I thought about, I have big shoes to fill. But I think through that process, I found my own leadership voice, my own leadership presence, and really learning to lean on the people around me, but ultimately trust my own gut. So I think that has profoundly shaped who I show up as today.
That's incredible. So is there a lesson that you learned recently that you wish you had learned earlier in your career?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think early in my career, I would look at my leaders and think they've got it all figured out, right? They know exactly what path to take. They seem to have all the answers. And what I've realized over all these years is they didn't. They didn't. I mean, I think part of the beauty of leadership is appearing calm and steady, even when it doesn't feel that way. So nobody has all the answers, right? I don't have all the answers. And I think good leaders lean on the people around them. They learn from their experiences, especially the ones that don't go as well as you might have liked. Those are really where we learn the lessons. And then just trusting our gut. So yeah, there's no perfect leaders. There's no clear path. We never have clarity 100%. And so that, I think, was a big lesson for me.
That's fantastic. Well, Donna, thank you so much for joining us today. And congratulations again. So let's hear from Michael McIntyre, who is the founder and CEO of Live Process. Michael, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here. Thank you.
And congratulations. I think you all got the award for Best Innovator. So that's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
Great thing to say. So today, I feel like stakes are high. Information's often incomplete, especially when it comes to healthcare. As you're a leader in this space, what do you really focus on when you have maybe incomplete data or information when you're leading and making decisions?
Yeah, I love that question because our breakthrough provides something the world has never experienced before, which is microbial visualization. So C. diff is arguably one of the most significant problems in healthcare. The data points are quite overwhelming. 4 people die an hour from it. The financial impact on hospitals correlates. The latest data is showing over $10 billion annually. But a C. diff infection is a horrible one to get. It affects about 1 person every 35 seconds, and it affects the most immunocompromised patients. The catch, and my invention idea came about 9.5 years ago, was I saw a presentation on invisible threats to healthcare, and I learned that C. diff, one, is not only invisible, but it survives on surfaces for as long as a year. So the genesis for starting the company, which was how can you solve a problem you can't see? So I reached out, I had some money to self-fund the company for a couple of years, assembled some of the world's leading experts in C. diff microbiology. It took us about 6.5, 7 years, a lot of complex R&D, collaboration, but we came out with a really simple solution that is safe, non-toxic. It's a water-based spray. It has a proprietary biomolecule. We merged microbiology with forensic light science. And within a minute, we make C. diff visible on high-touch surfaces and facilities. So it's our purpose is save lives now. Our purpose is speed adoption. Our theme is truly to reinvent how surface surveillance takes place with simply making the big bad problems visible. So see, this is where we're starting. We're moving towards expanding technology to light up a wide range of other problems.
That's amazing.
That's pretty impressive. So making the invisible visible and the complex simple.
We're revolutionizing surface surveillance. We're using visualization to make problems visible that weren't before. And you can never verify they were gone, even with the highest level of discharge cleaning in hospitals. So now you can, and you can do it in a minute, and it's very cost effective as well.
So as a leader, we see constantly balancing mission, people, and performance. In this environment right now, what do you find yourself focusing on more?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question because as a founder, and we just started our 9th year, but we've been on the market only a year and a half. We're all over the U.S. now, over in Canada, but we've launched in 8 other countries just in the last couple of months. But you hear a lot of noise as you go through that journey over time. So purpose and mission keeps us on track. I equate it to like a Formula One driver. The ones who succeed keep their eyes on the road in front of them, and you don't look in the stands, you don't look at the walls, you just keep straight ahead. And that has really guided us. To Save Lives Now theme and purpose is what we're all about. And now that we're on the market, how can we save lives now and faster? So we're in the process of talking to some of the world's largest sales channel partners and companies to help us turnkey and accelerate expansion in every country in the world. Our goal is to be in every country in the world in 3 years or less. And we just got in 10 more in the last few months, so we're very happy about that.
Well, I love your F1 speed analogy too, because the world is probably changing as fast as they have to make turns sometimes today. So when you look out 5 to 10 years in the healthcare world, which can be really hard, what do you think is going to be the biggest, most impactful change that's coming to us, and maybe why?
A couple of things. I think humanizing these fatal and horrible infections, diseases, ailments, conditions, and humanizing it gives the patients the power to more clearly articulate what they need, what they want. So we spend a lot of time. For instance, I'll give you an example. I learned a month and a half ago at a patient summit in Washington, D.C., that only 12 of the 50 states report pediatric C. diff. And I was shocked. And then we met 2 parents, and their children were there. And we had them speak to our team subsequent via Zoom. And we're launching a whole initiative to try to affect that and change that. So I think humanizing the problem. The other piece is, and I know we have some people in the room here today, is challenging the current conventional ways of thinking. And hospitals at times are measuring the wrong things that don't correlate to reduction of incidence. So we have a solution that is life-saving, will reduce incidence. How do we get them to speed adoption and implement faster so ultimately you do save lives now? And it's a challenge because that has not been the way they've operated in the past. There are a lot of other countries outside of ours who are also shifting from, instead of reactive care, to preventative care. So that's kind of part of our theme too, and kind of our messaging is, let's prevent before it spreads versus reacting. I was at a conference in Nashville this week. It's an International Infection Prevention Conference. And I joked around to some of the leaders of it. I said, you could almost call it an infection reaction conference, because that's what a lot of the presentations are about. But our theme is prevention, catch it before it spreads, and make the big bad problems visible, not only C. diff, but as we expand, to light up a lot of other things, which we're currently seeking funding for now, but do it in vertical markets like norovirus and cruise lines and hospitality, listeria in the food processing business. So we're in conversations with strategic partners, funding partners to help us accelerate that. So it's an exciting time for us.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I think all of that is, we'll close with that comment, right? The F1 driver, you definitely have to turn before you get to the corner, right? I think that's a great analogy of preventative care.
Exactly.
So, congratulations again.
Thank you both. Real pleasure. Honored to be here. Thank you.
Up now is Kevin Mahoney, CEO of University of Pennsylvania Health System. And congratulations to, I think, co-executive of the year here being recognized. And I know you've got the pin on, but 275 years of history here at Penn Medicine. And I think that's amazing because I know we're celebrating 250 as a country. So
we're glad the country's catching up to Penn Medicine.
Well, Kevin, congratulations. And again, thanks for being here today. If you think about a decade down the road or 5 to 10 years down the road, there's so many changes that are happening in the healthcare industry. But what do you think is an advancement that will have the most impact and why?
So there's a lot of advancements I could put in there. I think what we're going to see is finally getting the research dividend. So people like our honoree today, Carl June, who invented a cure for cancer, blood cancers, acute leukemia, chronic leukemia. Initially, it was $470,000 a dose. So insurance companies are like, we can't afford it. But it cures you for a lifetime.
Wow.
So we, as a country, we got to figure out how to get these really incredible inventions affordable, and then because that's how we're going to drive down the cost of healthcare. So another example, we're going to have our first in human flash radiation. So now if you come in and you have cancer, you have to have 24 to 40 visits. They'll be able to do it in one visit. And the cost will come down, patient satisfaction, clinical outcomes will all be better. So I'm excited for 10 years. Because I think we're going to, again, finally see so many of the breakthroughs that have been coming just accelerate and become more commonplace.
It's amazing. Healthcare leaders have to manage the mission, the people, and the performance. In today's environment, are you focused on any one of those that you think is the driver of how you're leading today?
I think the most important thing, the people that are struggling,
Go ahead.
our community, my workers, we have 52,000 of the best workers. You fill up the gas and it's $75, like you're, oh yeah, do we go out to dinner or we fill up the gas tank? So I worry a lot about the inequity in society and trying to make sure that Penn Medicine, we're doing advanced medicine, but we also need to make sure we're taking care of our communities and our employees.
So Kevin, looking back, what is one major decision that you made definitively that shapes how you lead today?
I married my wife, Pam.
The best partner.
Pam.
No, seriously, I tell this story a lot about how I got into medicine, but I was in a severe accident, ended up in the hospital for a long time and fell in love with being in the hospital. So maybe by a weird way, that accident led me to the career that I'm at today. But the direct answer I give to your question is I tell everybody, pick your organization first and your job second. I've been at Penn for 30 years. It is a place that I've been able to grow, get accomplished what I want to get accomplished, and our core values at Penn and my core values line up. So I think the most important decision besides marrying Pam was coming to work at Penn Medicine.
It's amazing. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being with us today, and congratulations again, and thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Jenny.
Take care. And we have Martin Lupinetti with us today, sharing his perspective, President and CEO of HealthShare Exchange, up for Outstanding Board Member. So congratulations, Marty, and thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
And so one of the questions I love to ask people, because I think mentorship is so important, is, has there been a mentor in your life that kind of changed your trajectory or helped you think about the world a little bit different?
So there are many, all right? So as I looked at that question, I'm trying to think of different chapters in my career, but most recently with HealthShare Exchange, I'm going to do a group answer, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So our board of trustees, in probably the entire board, I would say, really is collaborative, really wanted this to be successful, and it just fed into kind of the way I wanted to operate and think and approach things. And one of the things that we always say is data sharing moves at the speed of trust. I didn't create that saying, but it's out there often. And that's the way they sort of laid that groundwork initially, and it just fed the whole mission and environment of how we just stood up the organization from the very, very beginning. So I would say our board really was that for me.
I think that's amazing because, misaligned boards can kill a company in progress faster than anything. So you answering that and then being also, board member of the year, I think is a fantastic answer.
I didn't think about that, that's interesting.
But that is perfect, right?
Right.
And you live it, so it's amazing.
Yes. Yes.
So in leadership, there are countless lessons that are learned along the way. We were talking to someone a little bit earlier that said, we're kind of figuring out as we go along, typically. What is one lesson that you've learned that you wish you had known earlier in your career?
So a couple things, I guess, crossed my mind when I read that as well. The first would be really, I think, honestly asking the question about putting the patient first, right? And what we're doing, we're always trying to navigate competitiveness and, what we're trying to do to kind of move ahead or move the company ahead. In this organization, it was all about putting the patient first, what's best for the patient. And I think that was a learning, early on. I'm doing the work, I'm caught up in, whatever the assignment was or whatever we needed to do next, but reflecting on, well, is this right for the patient? Is this gonna be a benefit to the patient? That always is in the background of the way we think or the way I kind of operate in this environment.
I love that. And our last question for you today is there a big event or decision you've made that's kind of reshaped the way that you lead?
Good question, too. I have always tried to operate in appreciation to look for ways to say yes before saying no, right? Like, we get a lot of questions on, could we use the data for this? Or how could we then enable this kind of capability with this data or this data sharing and so forth? And I always tried to look for a way forward versus, well, there's this block or there's this concern or maybe we can't do that yet. Or I always try and figure that out. So I've always tried to, look for the yes in those kinds of things.
I love that. It's like that yes if mentality, right?
Yes.
It's not always a yes, but yes if we can.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
So
Thank
excited
you
to have
both.
you on
Appreciate
and
it.
great recognition.
Thank you.
Marty, thank you for being here. Joining us now is Dr. David Feigenbaum, co-founder and president of Every Cure and up for Entrepreneur of the Year. Thank you so much for being with us. You have a pretty incredible story. I just listened to it, and if people haven't listened to it, I listened to your interview on the Huberman podcast. Yeah. So Dr. David is someone who had cured himself and now has brought this mission to life, connecting diseases and medications that are out there. So thank you again so much for being here with us today. It's an honor.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited about this event and spending time with you guys.
Yeah. So a lot of leaders, entrepreneurs, right? You have to make decisions, especially in healthcare, when information is incomplete. I'm sure that was for you when you were going through your own process and development. So, how do you make decisions? How do you lead when the information is incomplete?
Yeah, this is a great question. It's so important. For me, it's really kind of two things. The first is it's always about the mission and about what is going to have the greatest patient impact. That's sort of a guiding light. Sometimes it should be do this program or that program, and it's what's going to have the greatest depth of impact and the greatest breadth of impact. So that's easy for us at Every Cure. I run a nonprofit. We find new uses for medicines, and when we're making these tough decisions, it's patient impact first. The second thing that's been so important is relying on really smart people that have lots of great experience, right? Phone a friend. And in my case, got some mentors that I turn to for advice and colleagues. And I think it's about finding people who are a lot smarter than you to help solve really tough challenges.
So you talked about the depth and breadth of the patient impact. What advancement do you think is going to have the most impact in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I'm very biased, but what we do at Every Cure is we use AI to find new uses for old medicines, which means when we find a new use for old medicine, we can use it in patients within weeks or months, versus if you're developing new drugs from scratch, like 99% of AI is, it's going to take many, many years for impact. And so I'm biased, but I do believe that new uses for old medicines and using AI to do that is going to have the greatest impact in the next 5 to 10 years.
That's super exciting, because the speed to delivery there would just be amazing.
They're already at your CVS.
Yeah.
We know how they work.
So one last question for us today is, what's a lesson that you've learned along your journey that you wish you had known at the start of it?
Yeah, I guess a few things come to mind. The first is that I went through a really tough challenge with a disease called Castleman's. I nearly died on 5 occasions. And I've been living in what I consider a sense of overtime, time I didn't think I'd have or I want to make the most of every second. And I sort of wish that I didn't have to go through all I went through to live like I was in overtime where every second counts. So I sort of wish I lived in overtime, and I hope everyone else lives with this sense of overtime. And the second is to reflect on my hopes, your dreams, and then decide what can you do to turn that hope into reality. So it's like, how do you turn hope into action? That's something that's saved my life and a lot of other lives. And I sort of wished I always reflected on what I was hoping for to then drive what actions I took.
Wow, that was fantastic. Thank you for everything you're doing out there. And you are truly an inspiration for many here and, for our communities.
Well, that means a lot. Thanks so much for the work you guys are doing and for highlighting this.
Thank you. And congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Planning Perspectives podcast. Don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes are available. Visit our website at www.bmt.com or call us at 833-973-7633. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. Investments, not a deposit, not FDIC insured, not insured by any federal government agency, not guaranteed by the bank, may go down in value.